And before I do, I want to acknowledge table 5 over there is our family, also with a friend, Pat Crumrine and Chris Cox. We have my sister, Kathy, and her husband, Scott, my brother, Tom, his beautiful wife, Ann, and my husband, Nigel. It's right over here. So, or the team. My brother David is at his son's graduation from college, so he gets a hall pass. Amazing Jack. So the word amazing defined is causing great surprise or wonder, astonishing. And Dad's astonishing commitment and devotion to Pittsburgh Opera covers over 67 years. He will tell you. So he'll tell you how he literally married into the opera family in 1957. Virginia Byerly, my mother, who we called Vivi, was a passionate devotee of opera and classical music and all things around that. Opera, music, travel, that was what they did. Dad was busy. He was on the road weekly, growing a business with his father, and our family trips to West Virginia, New Mexico, and sailing were great, but we knew where we were in the pecking order. So we had opera, symphony, ballet, and then his work trips, and Vivi and Dad's extended trips, and we fit in there somewhere. And in spite of all the revolving doors of babysitters, some coming in and some going out, and the Friday, Saturday nights where we were unsupervised, we knew at 11 o'clock they'd be home, so we were left to our own devices. But we all turned out okay, and we all speak to each other, so worked out. But his devotion to Pittsburgh Opera extends beyond being a patron, and he so wisely invites his own circle. He knows that invitation can be enough to spark a fire that can light that opera flame. And if you haven't caught it yet, as I did after many, many years of rejecting it, you will be fascinated and uplifted. And as you can read in the program, he rolled up his sleeves. He's been involved 20 years on the Pittsburgh Opera Board, and also involved in many boards, the Mendelssohn Choir, Bach Choir, etc. And he considers it a privilege to be entrusted to help guide the stability of these worthy causes. And he's made great friends, life friends. And I asked him one time why he gives so much. And at first he just said, in his way, it's just who I am. And then I pressed a little, and he said, when you appreciate the richness of culture Pittsburgh offers, there's a responsibility to help sustain it. The organizations that add so much to our city will cease to exist without our support. So the support of Dad and many of you makes it possible for the rising talent of the resident artists to launch their professional careers. And the new stories and works that are produced right here in Pittsburgh have this ripple effect, shaping opera into a more inclusive and accessible art form. Dad, always planning the next opera tour, and he sees how the ecosystem of opera and the craft is influenced by this opera company right here. So today, we get to tag along on his opera adventures. Santa Fe, 6 operas in 6 nights, double headers at the Metropolitan Opera and Opera America conferences. But when he goes, he is the quintessential Pittsburgh Opera ambassador, finding connections, seeing friends, following former resident artists, many who have leading roles on the big stages today after getting their start here in Pittsburgh. And when he does, his bright blue eyes twinkle and he nods his head with pride. Pittsburgh Opera is thriving. Allow me to introduce Amazing Jack.
I'm very honored to be recognized this evening. I wish to give you a background on my interest in opera and the arts. I was away from Pittsburgh 7 years attending college. Upon returning to Pittsburgh during the summer of 1956, I joined the company, Kerr Sales Company, full-time that my parents founded in 1952. The company is still my employer. I do get the question of what did you do? My answer is the same thing I'm doing now. A new Pittsburgh friend arranged a blind date for me to attend the Cinderella Ball, which is held on the top floor of the William Penn Hotel. It was for the debutantes. My date was not a debutante, and I was not her Prince Charming, but we had a nice evening, and that was December 21, 1956. My blind date was Virginia Byerly, who had just returned to Pittsburgh after 4 years of college in the Boston area. After a few dates, we realized that we both were interested in music and arts. I met Virginia Byerly, my friend's mother at Chautauqua, where she was also involved with the opera up there. Back in Pittsburgh, after spending summers in Chautauqua, Mrs. Byerly resumed her association with Pittsburgh Opera. Richard Karp was the music director. Virginia Byerly often served as the accompanist for rehearsals. The piano in their Oakland home was covered with opera scores. My new acquaintance, Virginia, and I decided to join hands in marriage and set the date for our wedding for December 21, 1957, 1 year after meeting. While raising 4 children, Virginia was tied down in Pittsburgh. She and her mother both volunteered with the Pittsburgh Opportunity Shop. Eventually, Virginia was available to travel with me. We set sights on opera adventures around the country, including Santa Fe, where I still go in the summer, the West Coast, Texas, Oklahoma, Ohio, etc., Glimmerglass. My travels eventually expanded to other parts of the world, and we included operas in our itinerary. I've enjoyed my many years of board membership with Pittsburgh Opera and have great respect for the Pittsburgh Opera management, both a board and the executive management, the staff, resident artists, and you who are attending this event. It is gratifying that my daughter Cindy and my other daughter Kathy share my passion, and one of my 2 sons, who's here this evening, also shares passion for family. So thank you very much.